6Three podcast. Your home for the most in-depth analysis on all things sports, entertainment, and basically anything else you can come up with. Where we have some of the hottest takes, some of the craziest takes, but there we go, some of the dumbest takes, and where we believe that opinions are like. And now, to your hosts, Joel, Isaiah, and RJ.
And thanks for tuning into the 6Three podcast with that fresh new intro. Finally not excluding our newest host, Isaiah.
Only took like 4 or 5 shows, you know.
I know, but the paper that you kept writing on, that made it, that gave us a little bit of extended time to build with. Bought us some time for sure. All right. So this past week we did the running back rooms, right? Or was it the head coaches last week? We've also ranked the NFL quarterbacks. So we're making our way down the list on the offensive side and doing the wide receiver rooms for each NFL team. I get first pick this week. And I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals.
Hey.
To me, any team apparently that has DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to be number one in this situation.
Yeah.
And so with that acquisition, old but still very reliable Larry Fitzgerald, who never drops a pass, the young Christian Kirk, who has a lot of potential, Andy Isabella's speed, Hakeem Butler's size, and Keyshawn Johnson's versatility, that is a stacked wide receiver room. And Kyler Murray, already in his second year, could have some sophomore success.
He's going to keep that streak alive with the sophomore success for MVPs, maybe?
Bold. Probably not yet.
Not going to happen, but hey, makes you think.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I had the Cardinals at number 1 also. Adding DeAndre Hopkins to that already okay receiving core just made them the most, I think overall, it's not like the Lions where it's the same receiver, in every position. They actually have different receivers, and that's why I like them. That's why I put them at number 1.
All right.
Look at the hate lines flowing, and Joel's getting pissed off and talking about the Lions negatively.
This is stress. Stress.
Yeah, I think I know we're not on trivia yet, but I'm pretty sure Larry Fitzgerald has more tackles in his career than drops. I don't know if that's still accurate, but I think
that was a stat that I saw.
Yeah. So
it was right up there with Blake Bortles' interception, pick sixes stat.
Yeah. Yes. So even though he's 1,000 years old, he is still incredible.
For sure. RJ, take on number 2 there.
All right, number 2. Well, the offense is dysfunctional at times. Hasn't been consistent. I still think they have arguably the best 1-2 combination in the league. Whether the quarterback can get things going this year, I'm going to go Cleveland Browns here at number 2. Not only do you have Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, I like Twan Taylor if he could ever stay out of trouble legally. And now you get Donovan Peoples-Jones out of that offense. I'm curious to see how he translates into the NFL.
A little early for me personally. I had them at 8 just because obviously you have one of the 2 best duos with Jarvis and Odell, and that has to say a lot for where they stand in this list. But I think Rashard Higgins and Taywan Taylor, and obviously we don't know what DPJ is going to be. I think there's just a lot of questions after those 2 guys on what their success level could be. But again, Baker still has the tools to work with where he needs to still prove that he's going to be a franchise quarterback there because he struggled after early night's freshman year.
Yeah.
After the top 3, it really doesn't matter. When you got the number 1, Odell Beckham is still one of the best in the league. Jarvis Landry is a top 15 guy. So I think right there, having those 2 guys alone puts them up higher.
Yeah, I had him at 4, so not too far behind. But, yeah, I don't have much more to add to all that. So I will go on with number 3, who was my number 1 team. As they have been highly rated in almost all of our offensive rankings except, I think, running backs, the Chiefs. So Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, who's just been solid there after some up and down moments in his career. Mecole Hardman, who is just incredibly fast as well, and they utilize that everywhere. Like, I know you can say what you want about speed because we see these guys run 4.2 40s, but if any team has shown a success of how speed looks, it is the Chiefs. So I just think they're really good, especially those top three. I don't think the bottom three really matters when your top three are that good.
So I think I had them right around there. I'm at 4, but they again, you see guys like Philip Dorsett, Brashad Perriman, and John Ross, and those are guys that are crazy fast, put up great combine times, but have no real success at the NFL level. And then RJ, to your point on other situations, like you're dragging the Lions about having the same type of receivers, but the Chiefs have the same type of speed receivers. They do the same things.
The issue is they do the same good things well. The Lions all have a negative same thing. None of them
my lines again. There come my lines again.
None of them know how to get separation to help out their quarterback. All the Chiefs guys are the same, but they're all amazing. So it is good to have the same when they're good. Well, it's not good when you have the same things when they're just slow guys that can make good catches, but can't run a good route or get separation.
All right. Well, number 4, circling back to me, I picked DeAndre Hopkins' new team. I'm going to pick DeAndre Hopkins' old team, the Houston Texans. I think they have a bunch of really solid guys all the way down like through their first 6. So they just quality depth all the way through. You got Brandon Cooks, who was kind of their replacement for DeAndre Hopkins, as much as that says. Randall Cobb is a little old, but he's a reliable target. Kenny Stills, Will Fuller, Kiki Kute, and DeAndre Carter to round that out. That's a bunch of nice solid depth there from me.
If they still had, if you swapped Hopkins there with Cook, are they number 1 in your opinion?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I said, anything that DeAndre Hopkins goes to is probably number 1 in the situation.
Yeah. I had them at 4 also. Number 5, sticking with the same theory as before, I'm going with great duos. And Tom Brady's got a nice set of duos to play with down in Tampa Bay. And Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I'm going Tampa Bay, 5.
All right. I had them a bit lower.
Me too.
They have a dynamic duo, but after that, I don't see much that's sticking out to me.
Chris Godwin could still prove to be a bum. I think it's really early to say anything on Chris Godwin. So
yeah, it's been a beat.
I am a huge fan of Mike Evans.
There are plenty of players that are good for like 1 year and then they suck. Michael Turner, oof.
Because he got old. He was 30 after he had his good year. He sat on the bench for his first 4 years of his career. Got his chance. Two really good years. Larry Johnson was good for multiple years.
I think 2. I think maybe 3. I don't know. It was.
He also had like 450 carries a year, which destroyed his body.
Legs out. Yeah, they burned his legs out, and now he's a Twitter psychopath. But
you can't. I think you can't look too much at the 4th and 5th receivers on your grading because, like, honestly, most teams they're not gonna really see the field that much. When you have a 1 and a 2 that is better than everyone else's 1 and 2, I'm gonna put them high on my list.
I mean, you make a fair point. I do think that at least 3s and 4s definitely still have a pretty strong contribution to the team. 5s and 6s, I can get those, but you got to have a good all-around team. I think there are plenty of teams that have only had 1 and 2s, but nobody after that it's like, okay, meh.
All right, back to me with number, I guess we're on 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at some of my teams right around like the 5 through 8 area, and I'm switching them all around in my head. I'm going to go with possibly a surprising pick. They have a strong top 2, a solid number 3, and then, as we said, the other guys may not see the field much, but yeah, I like those top 3. They would be way better if they kept another one of their guys, but I don't think they felt like paying him, or I don't know if it was a trade, or it was a trade, but I'm going to go with the LA Rams, led by Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. mean, a big caveat of this is that Kupp can stay healthy. But I think both of those guys are number one receivers on most teams that doesn't have one of those top 10 guys. Your Devontae Adams, your Odell Beckham's. Like, I think if you put them on most teams, they'd be a challenge for number one. Josh Reynolds has been solid in the past couple of years, especially with whether it's Cooks or Kupp getting injured and having to plug and play in a few different places. And then I don't really know any of those other guys' names, but I like that top three.
Simba.
Simba. I mean, they got some good names. Van Jefferson, Simba Wester, Greg Dortch. Great names.
If you ain't Dortch, you ain't
much
Dortch.
about their game.
If you ain't Dortch, you ain't much. Dortch. Gosh, my list is not looking so good compared to some of you guys, I guess.
What do you have the Rams at?
I had the Rams at 15, but I had the Bucks at 13.
Yeah, I had Rams down lower, too. I had them at 19.
Oh, well.
It's all good. I think if they still had Brandon Cooks, they'd probably be pretty close to it.
Way higher, yeah. I think Woods and Kupp are like both top end number twos.
I think they're twos, yeah. But
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little higher on them, but yeah, I mean, like when you lose one of your top one or two guys, your team could just like, especially since you don't have that person to kind of like for Brandon Cooks to just sprint down the field and take a cornerback and possibly a safety out on every play. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods might not show up that much this year. Maybe they won't be as good, and maybe Jared Goff will take another step back and not be able to feed him the ball. But
he's going to take another step back. He can't run the ball. There's no play action.
We talked about the running backs. They were dead. I think we had them dead last for running backs.
Yes,
Goff,
we did.
We had Goff pretty low because we think he's just a play action quarterback, and that's it. I mean, this offensive line and tight ends, it's also not impressive from what I've looked at. So.
Well, now we got the wide receivers are their saving grace.
That might be it. We'll see what happens for sure. All right, number 7, I am going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I see Amari Cooper. I see Michael Gallup. Drafting CeeDee Lamb was a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cedric Wilson's an okay guy if you need a quick fill-in, but I'm not too high on Devin Smith anymore, and John Vea Johnson. He was only good in the AAF. So we'll see. But I definitely like those first 3 guys.
I had him high, too. I can't wait to see what CeeDee Lamb does in this offense. I think he could help out Dak a lot, give him a third explosive weapon. Let's see if he gets paid the money that he's going to want. And the Cowboys, I think their hands are going to be kind of forced to pay him a lot of money. But I like that pick there. Next on my list, I'm high on duos. I'm going New Orleans Saints here. You got Michael Thomas. I think he's one of the top 5 wide receivers in the game. And then you got Emmanuel Sanders, solid number 2. They'll be explosive on the other side with Drew Brees in that offense. Besides that, you got guys that are unknown, really, but you got a solid number 2 or solid top 2. You got LaJordan Humphrey from Texas, who hasn't really got a chance to show anything yet. And then Tre'Quan Smith, but yeah.
Well, Tre'Quan Smith was a number 2 guy behind Michael Thomas for 1 year. They had nobody besides Michael Thomas. Right. Tre'Quan Smith did okay in that situation. I mean, I probably could have moved up a little bit higher in my list, but I had him, again, middle of the pack. I had him at 14.
Yeah, I had the Saints right at number 8, so it's pretty close. That's where I had them. I'm looking at my list, and I'm thinking, man, I really should have had the Rams like around 12 or 13. But, hey, here we are. This is the year of the Lord we live in, and we're going with it. So for number 9, I'm going to go with a wide receiver core that gets the most out of them because of their quarterback, a future Hall of Famer. I'm going to go with the Packers. Devontae Adams, Valdez-Scantling, St. Brown, Devin Funchess, Alan Lazard. I mean, he had some great catches with Aaron Rodgers chucking him the ball last year. That's just a solid group led by, I mean, I'd have to make a list, but possibly a top 5 wide receiver in the league with Devontae Adams.
That's a little closer in my range. I have him at 10. So that's a little closer in my range.
Yeah. I was harsh on the Packers. I actually had them at 18 because I think they have a great number 1 and then a bunch of real nobodies. I think Aaron Rodgers really lifts them up. That's why everyone thought they were going to draft one in the first round, and they didn't. And that's why Aaron Rodgers was so pissed off.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to rate wide receivers with totally not taking the quarterback into play at all. I mean, if you could have a great group, and if Aaron Rodgers goes down this year and the rookie gets in, then this wide receiver core is not going to look that good. But with Aaron Rodgers sitting behind the center, like these guys all show up and they all have great games. They all have incredible catches. Like you see these guys, and it seems like besides Devontae Adams, and maybe it's because Devontae Adams, but every game it's one of these guys torching the Lions, torching the Bears, torching the Vikings, torching whoever they're playing.
Watch this. It's not that hard to torch the Lions.
I mean, Jeff Janis and Richard Rodgers, though, had success against other teams as well, and they were just a bunch of nobodies, to be honest. So a lot of it is the quarterback that makes it better. So I don't know if that ranks the quarterback a little higher than the actual wide receiver talent, but I had him at 10, so I don't feel like
it's hard to separate them.
Yeah. So that means pick number 10 here. I still have at 5 on my list.
Ooh.
That is the duo of the Atlanta Falcons with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Russell Gage isn't anything special. Laquan Treadwell has proven to be a first-round bust. And Olamide Zaccheaus and Brandon Powell, the former Lion that I loved watching in preseason. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I had them at 7. I agree with you. Available.
Maybe I was a little low on him. I had him around 15. Calvin Ridley, he had a great first year, but I don't know what year 2 is going to be.
All right. The next one, maybe a little bit of a reach, but I just really like how the rookie stood out last year. I think he immediately turned into a number 1 receiver. You have another first-round pick from the year before, Corey Davis. I think gives them a great 1-2 punch. I'm going Tennessee Titans next.
All right.
Dude, I had them in my bottom 5.
How? When they have 2 studs.
I have Corey Davis isn't a proven stud. AJ Brown could be, but it's still early. I'm not going to just jump on these sophomores.
Well,
he dominated as a
number 5.
Dominated. Absolutely dominated.
I could find rookie wide receivers that dominated, and we're bums.
I have them all the way at 18. So I like Corey Davis. I mean, I always want to pick him because he's Western Michigan and like fantasy and stuff, and he always lets me down.
I drafted him early last year too, and he's just an average guy. So it's not a 1-2 punch for me, especially because it's too early to tell anything on AJ Brown for me. But
the second half of last year, AJ Brown was probably the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, the best.
I think he definitely performed top 5 in the league, which does a lot for a rookie. But I guess we'll see. I don't
horrible quarterback play.
He's not, dude. Come on.
Oh no, that's right. That's right. You put him at like 17 or 13 or something in our list.
Yeah. Come on, Tannehill. Like he had a resurgence of his career. It's that 7 bump. No, and maybe it's just my stupid football brain, but there were too many good rookie wide receivers last year for all of them to continue to be as good as they were. Like, I maybe it'll be the same thing this year, but like you have Calvin Ridley, you have AJ Brown, you have like all these guys who had great rookie years. And I just can't look at every single one of them and be like, oh, he was incredible in his rookie year, and then get too high on him. Like, and it could happen. Maybe A.J. Brown just is that guy. Maybe Calvin Ridley just is going to outspeed everyone and just run across the field. But it's so hard to look at a guy's first year and then be like, oh, that's a top duo in the league. Like, I hope it is, but I don't know. It's tough. But, all right, on to my team. As I say that, I'm going to go with a team who has a sophomore as one of their number 2 spots. Joel's Madden team in the Seattle Seahawks. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are just – I mean, that's a great 1-2 punch. DK Metcalf, it looks like, again, who knows what a second-year player is going to be, but if Madden has taught me anything, he's going to be the best receiver in the league. David Moore and Philip Dorsett are just kind of like they've never stood out, or especially Philip Dorsett lived up to expectations. But I mean, they seem to catch the ball when it's thrown to them. Yeah, and then I don't know Freddie Swain and John Ursua, but
Yeah.
Again, you
RJ,
gotta look at who's
that's a
throwing the
decent
ball to him
pick.
too.
That's a decent pick. I had him at
Yeah.
16. So how come you didn't rank that? How is DK and Lockett not higher than Corey Davis and AJ Brown?
I think AJ Brown's better.
And Lockett or
Lockett.
Both.
Where did you have Seattle?
I had them at 9.
Oh, so you still had them pretty high. Okay.
They're my next best available.
Okay.
I had Tennessee at 8 and Seattle at 9.
I will say I had Tennessee pretty high. I just kept moving them down.
All right. Well, I am going to take the Detroit Lions here then.
Alrighty.
RJ knocks on them because they're all the same, but the guys that they're top of the league in spectacular catch, and they bail themselves out a lot of times with their inability to get separation, and they're not elite speed. But I think
put themselves in that hole though by not having separation or elite speed. And so they make a great catch, but you're killing your quarterback.
Even before I made this list, they announced this week that they're probably moving Jamal Agnew to wide receiver.
Oh.
So Marvin Hall and Jamal Agnew.
He will lead the league in drops.
Wow. Gosh, RJ.
Want to bet?
You know that Kenny Galladay guy, he looks just like Danny Amendola. They're the same player.
Yeah, definitely.
But, dude, he's an old slot guy that shouldn't even been in the league. I'm saying the top two are the exact same.
This is the king of a Lions hater, dude. That's all.
I'm a Lions realist.
That's not realist.
This is not okay. A realist is somewhere in between us, but
Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones are the same type of receiver. Neither can get separation, and there's a huge chance Marvin Jones won't be on this roster.
Oh, that's not because he's not good. He'll go to a contender. They'll get traded to a contender.
They want to pay him because they know they have the two of the same receivers, and Kenny Galladay is better.
Okay, well, they didn't want to sign Golden Tate either.
Because he's old.
Okay, so is Marvin Jones. They're the same age. That's why Marvin Jones won't be on the same team.
No, Marvin Jones is 28 now, 29?
Oh, he'll be 30 next year, dude. It's the same age as Golden Tate was traded.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't have him way down on the list. I'm just not sold on it. I wish they would have a dangerous slot or some speed receiver that isn't a 3-play-a-year guy like Marvin Hall.
I wish they played Marvin Hall more.
Yeah, he made three plays last year.
He never dropped the ball. Every time he was in there, he made something happen.
Yeah, but like you said, I can't count on A.J. Brown to have continued success. When he had a whole year of amazing dominance, Hall had 3 catches, and
I'm
you're
not
all
basing
like,
this on
he's
Hall.
so good.
I'm not basing this on Marvin Hall. I'm basing it still on, even if they can't, they make up. If they still come down with the ball, I don't care if it's by spectacular catch or in stride. That doesn't make any sense. If they still get the ball and make up for it using their body size, their arm length, and make crazy catches, do it. I don't care. They still get it. They're talented. You still can't argue that they're not talented.
Oh, they're talented, yes. I would love to have one of them.
What this is on, wide receiver talents.
Yeah, one of them I like, Kenny Galladay. Great. You don't have a number 2. That's a different type of receiver. They're killing Stafford by not having anyone that can get open.
Okay, so besides them not being able to get separation, what is bad about these guys?
There's not a good depth either.
Quintez Cephas could be good if you want to base on receivers.
Or he could be out of the league in 1 year because he's he already has.
These are all opinions, though, at this point.
What about Geronimo Allison?
Geronimo Allison has been a proven number 4 guy in the league. Who cares?
He's number 4 on the depth chart.
You made all your decisions on your duos, nothing about the rest.
I had them at 13.
I know you're still knocking their
sack. Where are we right now? I'm just giving you crap, man. I had them at 13, but as a Lions fan, I'm sick.
As a Lions hater, dude, you're not even a fan anymore.
It's called a fan. And fans want the team to get better, not continue to support loserism.
Oh, losers.
Loserism.
What? Another one of his great isms.
That's a $10 word if I've ever heard one.
$5 word.
All right. Well, RJ, why don't you tell us who's better than the Lions so we can move on?
Well, I don't know if I had them better than the Lions, but actually, what pick are we at right now?
We're at 14.
Yeah, well, I had the Lions exactly where they're supposed to go, right here, 13. But I had to give them crap because I know Joel, he had them at 5 or something like
Crazy
that.
wrinkles, man.
Joe, where'd you really have them, though? Like 5?
I had him at 8.
5 spots isn't much.
5 spots is a lot.
Number 14. Who's 14?
All right, 14. Joel has them low, I know, but I like the number 1. I like the number 2. Number 3 is going to be a rookie, so we'll have to see how he continues to progress. But they have potential 3 good guys, a 4th guy that has explosive speed that actually got better last year once he got a new offense. So there's a chance maybe he can continue to get better. I'm going Cincinnati Bengals here.
All right.
No one has effed my list more than you.
I have them at number 14 as well. So
yeah.
I guess now that I think about it, I had them at 19, so they're not 5 spots again. Isn't terribly far. It just feels like they're so far down the list.
Yeah. Yeah, AJ Green just has to stay healthy. I think he reminds me a lot of he's not as good, I don't think, but he reminds me a lot of Calvin Johnson when he's healthy. Just being able to make double coverage catches, and even when Andy Dalton's just hucking the ball down the field, he can go up and catch it. But yeah, Tyler Boyd, he showed some promise filling in for AJ Green. Auden Tate, I mean, I'd like him to take a step up. We talked about John Ross, and like it's great that he's fast, but what else can he do? And then who knows what T. Higgins is going to be like? But I do think they have solid potential with a new quarterback who can throw the ball much better.
I think John Ross is a guy that if he went to an offense like Kansas City could be explosive. This past year, he actually had a couple of games where he had amazing games. I think that you have an offensive-minded coach there that actually can use him. He'll be better. So, I mean, and I have him right now as the number 4 receiver on that team, which is pretty good depth.
Yeah. No, and I think he'll only look better if AJ Green stays healthy. I mean, all these guys will, but.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's all going to depend on him staying healthy.
Yeah. Okay, at number 15, I am going to go with my number 13 team, and I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs, number 1 guy. I love Stephon Diggs. I always went back and forth with who was better, him or Adam Thielen. It was kind of just whoever Kirk Cousins felt like throwing the ball to more that day. I think he was a very good 1B to Adam Thielen. John Brown had a lot of great moments last year. He seemed to be their number 1 coming into this year, but then you get Stephon Diggs. Cole Beasley just has good hands. He's a great just slot guy. Have him on a drag route across the field and get a bailout for Josh Allen while he's running around like a madman. And then those other guys, they can just fill in other places and get their moments when they can. But I think that's a solid top 3. You have people who seem to have all pretty defined roles in those top 3.
I like him. Had him at 15. So
here we go.
All right, rounding back to me. Another team that has a ton of speed and aren't being talked about as much. Philadelphia Eagles.
Hey.
They got obviously the slow guy Alshon Jeffrey, but then Deshaun Jackson is known for his downfield speed, even despite his age. Then they draft Jalen Reagor, who is perhaps the 2nd fastest receiver in the draft behind Ruggs. And then they had Marquise Goodwin now. So there's a lot of raw speed now there too. Perhaps one of the fastest wide receiver groups in the league. And I like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's size, and Greg Ward. I always pull for the former quarterbacks. So.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to learn to catch the ball this year. They had, I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they led the league in drops last year. They were it just seemed like it was a revolving door of who could try to get into that receiving room, and just they couldn't catch the ball. But I think
the Raiders have Nelson Aguilar now. That was the problem. So the Raiders
that was a big problem. Yeah, but I think adding Marquise Goodwin in place of Aguilar is a big upgrade after he just was not good last year. I still think Alshon Jeffrey, like, I'm glad he's not at Chicago anymore. Like, I'm glad he got to be the Eagles and get a lot of, like, time and plays thrown into him. Deshaun Jackson just kind of there helping out. And then, yeah, I mean, that's just a solid room. I just hope they can show it this year better than the rest.
RJ 17, we got halfway through.
All right. Look at my list. I'm going the best tandem still on the board. I'm actually going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers here. We got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, solid tandem. I think the best left on the list.
Yeah, I had them all the way up at number 9, actually. I think that's a really good duo, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Okay.
Where do you have him, Joel?
I'm going to talk about it.
I want to hear how low you had him.
I hate everyone after Mike Williams, so I think that had something to do with it.
Okay, but their 1 and 2 is really good.
Yeah, I think that kept them right where I had them. I had them at 21.
Okay, so that's only, 4 spots?
Why does it feel like they're so much further down? Probably because I still have a few empty spots in the top 12 yet. I have 3 empty spots in the top 12 for me yet.
Hey.
Oof.
Well, let me see if I can pick one of those spots. I'm going to go with a decent top 2, and I think they still have some decent people or pretty good players in those 3 through 6 spots. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. T.Y. Hilton's got to stay healthy. I mean, last year I know he had some injury problems, but sounds like we're saying that for every other team and their top number 1 guy. I like Paris Campbell. I like Zach Pascal, actually. Don't know much about the other guys, but I don't think there's not a ton of great picks left, and I think they're led by T.Y. Hilton. That's still a pretty solid group.
I think the reason I have the Colts lower is because I also had the Bengals lower for the same reason. Their number 1 can't stay healthy to save his life.
Yeah, I know it's tough. Like when T.Y.'s there, he's a stud. He's top 15 in the league. You could make the argument, but yeah, he just had nagging injuries, and that's the worst, I think. Like it's one thing if some guys just got one big injury that keeps him out for a year, but it seemed like it was his ankle, it was his knee, it was this, it was that, it was whatever with T.Y. And yeah, if he can stay healthy, I think they're in the high 20s maybe, or high teens, maybe low 20s, but if he can stay healthy, this is where they should be.
I agree.
I'm going to pick at my remaining 3 in the top 12. And I've got the New York Giants. I have Golden Tate there 1, Sterling Shepard 2. Darius Slayton was a late-round pick last year, and he still pulled quite the rabbit out of his hat and had a nice little season there for him, replacement for injuries. Corey Coleman, obviously, he's notorious for the Browns for that drop in that playoff game. But I think overall, some pretty good guys there in the top 4.
Much like the Rams earlier, I think the Giants have a lot of depth, but I don't see a number 1. I see a lot of 2s, so I didn't have them as high on my list because of that.
Yeah, I think their first 3 are all number 2s on most teams right now. So
yeah. I mean,
we're getting to that point in our list.
He's 3 years older now, but Golden Tate was a serviceable number 1 with the Lions. Like, obviously, you don't want him to be, but then, like I said, he's 3-4 years older than from when he was the number 1 with the Lions. So, yeah, they really have that standout guy, which not really most of our teams left don't really have a standout guy. Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
All right. Next on my list, I'm going with a team that has a standout guy, and I think might have a rookie that could develop into that solid number 2. I'm going to go with Minnesota Vikings. I think by getting rid of Stephon Diggs, getting rid of the locker room issue, but then you replace him with Justin Jefferson, who was amazing at LSU last year. And if he can he doesn't have to be number 1. You got Adam Thielen, so he can develop into a solid number 2 where they can have a great duo.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, I'm going to go with possibly – I'm trying to look. He might be the best number 1 left. But then it's just a bunch of guys after that. Again, it depends how good their quarterback is when he comes back this year. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Juju Smith-Schuster showed that he can be a standout number one. But again, like I said, you got just a bunch of stuff after that. So hopefully it can be like a Packers situation where you have a clear number one and then a bunch of fill-in guys and the quarterback just elevates them. But I still can't pick the Steelers that low just because Juju's been great since Antonio Brown left.
I actually like to pick here because I'm really high on Chase Claypool. I think he's a guy that could develop in something special in the NFL. You watch Notre Dame play, you know where the ball was going to, and they still couldn't stop him. It was amazing to watch. So this guy he's big, tall, fast. He's like a poor man's Calvin Johnson. I mean, he's not up to that level, but I mean, if you look at some of the stats he did at the combine, they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
All right. I'll pick at that last one in my top 12 now. And it is one that I had at 12, the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
They did a lot of work in the draft this year. Cortland Sutton's probably still going to be their number one. He did okay. But then Jerry Jeudy obviously is expected to be one of the best rookie wide receivers in this class. And then they get the speed with KJ Hamler. So Drew Lock is going to have what he needs to work with already in his second year and full year as a starter. See what he can do with it.
Yeah, I like that pick. I had him at 14, so I was right in that same area. Two rookies on top three, it makes it hard, but they look really talented, so I had him high on my list too.
Yeah, I had him at 21. Just still looking at their quarterback. He might not be able to feed these guys the ball that well, but just on talent alone, they'd probably be higher on my list. But it is tough, like RJ said, with those two of those top three guys being rookies. We just have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, you have some idea, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Well, here on the list is where I would want, if I was playing Madden, I'd be like, wow, this roster's still on here with my Ravens, but I'm not taking them this high because Madden is not real life.
I know, right?
Right.
That's the funny thing. When I put these lists together, I was like, oh, Panthers, DJ Moore. Oh, Panthers user DJ Moore is one of the best receivers. Like, I'd like temper my expectations.
Right. So right here is, I like the number one. Besides that, there's not a lot of talent. Big guys anyways. But I like the Patriots. I mean, you got Edelman. N'Keal Harry's coming off his rookie year. He was hurt a lot. Mohamed Sanu is, I think, a solid number two. But at this point, you still got Marquise Lee in there. So a lot of guys that can make plays for
Jacoby Myers is like the preseason stud that they had last year. Jacoby Myers is a leading receiver in preseason, so we care about that.
Yeah, actually, the Patriots at 19, everyone talked about last year Tom Brady had no weapons, but, I mean, you still got Julian Edelman who just catches hopefully everything thrown to him by their new quarterback. Mohamed Sanu, maybe it was just learning the system that made him not shine that much in the second half of last year. And then, N'Keal Harry, I still have a lot of but a lot of faith in. If he can stay healthy, I think they underutilized him last year because of his health problems. So if he has a fully healthy season and they utilize him properly, that could be a pretty solid top three.
Well, if you look at the beginning of the season, the Patriots, we all thought they had like the best receiving core. I mean, you had Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown. But then of course all that happened, and then Edelman got hurt, and N'Keal Harry got hurt, and all of a sudden it was a bunch of nobodies. But there's some guys on there that can make plays. So I had him at 19, so we're in this spot, or I had him at 20, so right in this spot's pretty good.
All right, 24, Isaiah.
All right, 24. I will go with the team I have at 24. I am going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Deebo Samuel, Deontay Pettis, I think are pretty good guys. I don't know how much of they're both like number ones. They're pretty solid number twos, but the rest of this list that we have to pick from may not lead itself to picking a strong number one. But yeah, Deebo Samuel, Dante Pettis, I like them. I really like Brandon Ayuk, like the kind of the tape and highlights I saw from him in college. I thought he was just a solid in any other draft, he probably would have been a first round wide receiver, possibly. And then, you got some other plug and play guys, but I think those top two are pretty good. They don't need to do a ton with the kind of offense that the San Francisco 49ers run. They don't need to be just absolute monsters. But, yeah, I think they're pretty good at 24.
All right, 25. Is my last team that I still had in my top 20. And that is the Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore, obviously this is a guy to remember. I'm like, oh, it's not the Madden DJ Moore. But he still had a pretty solid season last year. Robbie Anderson was the number 1 receiver for the New York Jets for a while, and he joins them. And then you get Curtis Samuel's speed and athleticism. Seth Roberts has been a pretty reliable guy. And then Keith Kirkwood stepped up way back in the day for the Saints when people were going down. But, again, these at this point, I don't care about 5 and 6. I think this is the best remaining 4 guys that I could see out of these teams.
Yeah, as we're getting to this point, there's not a lot of overall talent, not a lot of good number 1s, number 2s, so you have to look more up the depth. So I agree. I had them next highest on my list also. Next team I have on my list is actually going to be no real star receiver, just a bunch of realistically 2s and 3s. But I'm going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders because you got Terrell Williams, you got Henry Ruggs, the third, coming out as a rookie. Very fast, explosive guy. We'll see what he can do in that offense. Still have Hunter Renfrow. Loved watching him at Clemson. I mean, you can watch Nelson Aguilar drop a bunch of passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, I will go next, and I'm going to go – there's a couple – I mean, there's slim pickings at this point. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens. Led by Marquise Brown. You got Willie Snead there, who I've always thought was solid, especially with Drew Brees. He's been blessed with just having good quarterbacks throwing him the ball. But, yeah, I think with Lamar Jackson throwing you the ball, these guys show up, and they showed up. Some of them showed up last year and led that team really well, probably played above where they would be on other teams. But, yeah, I think Marquise Brown will still be good next year. But, again, who knows? But, yeah, I think they're pretty good right at that spot.
I like Devin DuVernay, too. I think he's going to be a real subtle, impressive late-round sleeper this year that might get some time because, I like Willie Snead. I root for him because he was a local guy here. But there's really not a whole lot behind. Obviously, they're going to try to develop Miles Boykin, but Chris Moore is no guarantee. DeAnthony Thomas is a return man at best. I think that's where Devin DuVernay could come in and be a number 3 before the end of the year. So we'll see what happens with him, but I'm pretty high on him from Texas.
Yeah, I think Hollywood Brown could have a big year this year. Started out the year hot, but then he had the injury, and it really plagued him the rest of the season. So, I think he could develop into a solid number 1 receiver. It's just going to be the question is, can Miles Boykin be a number 2? Can he develop into a number 2? And that's going to be the big question on their receiving core.
All right, number 28 then. I am going to go with the Chicago Bears.
Thank you. I don't want to have to say the name.
Yeah, they got Ted Ginn. Riley Ridley was from Alabama. Cordero Patterson, again, he's just a return man. Anthony Miller needs a rebound year for sure. And Allen Robinson's always been a nice, solid, I think a number 2 guy, again, in most teams. But he's the number 1 for the Bears. So that's who they are going to be. That's what Bears fans are going to be rooting for a lot this year. Just in my discussions with a few that I know.
Yeah, I had him next on my list too, but I just couldn't say their name, so I probably would have went down farther. So at this point, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. So next, I'm going to go Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's who I had.
DJ Shark, D.D. Westbrook, Chris Conley.
To me, that's not the bottom of the barrel, though, because Laviska Shenault also got drafted by them, and I think he's pretty good. So, yeah. To me, that was the only team left that wasn't bottom of the barrel, though, for sure. I could still.
The teams are. We're going to continue to see the trend we've been having on offense is the Washington Redskins are horrible in every facet of offense there is.
Yeah, I think all the last 3 teams all still here are pretty low on all of them. So.
Yeah.
Well, for the first of those last three teams, I'm going to pick the Miami Dolphins. They're really the only team with a number one guy left with Devontae Parker, who had a great moments last year. Yeah, I mean, just some of these names don't really do much for me. Like, you're like, oh, I recognize that, but, like, they're not that great. Albert Wilson, Allen Hurns. But I think they're definitely better than the two remaining teams. That's the best thing I can say about them.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Who am I going to leave you with, RJ? Gosh. These guys are really bad. But I think on potential alone, I'm going to take the Washington Redskins at 31. Terry McLaurin was one of the best receiving rookies last year and very unexpected. I believe he was a third or a fourth-round pick, and he stepped up to be one of the best rookies last year in the Rookie of the Year conversation. So I think that says a lot just on potential alone. After that, nothing too great. Kelvin Harmon was undrafted. And I when we did the mock drafts last year, I had Kelvin Harmon as a third-round pick. So he ended up falling all the way to undrafted. And Trey Quinn is that white guy that every team needs, huh? So we'll see how that turns out. I don't really have anything special to say for the rest of the dudes.
Yeah, this is exactly how I had my bottom three. I had Miami at 30, Washington at 31, and then in dead last, the Jets. I feel like the Jets roster is a bunch of failed high drafted wide receiver picks. I mean, Josh Doxson, there's Denzel Mims this year's Josh Doxson. Another high drafted receiver that's probably not going to do anything.
Rashad Perriman was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are all pretty high draft picks and have not produced anything.
Why do I want to say that Jamison Crowder was pretty early too?
I think he was a second or third.
Gosh, that's going to bug me. But
Doxson, a first or second rounder?
Doxson was a first-rounder, I thought. He's the same year as Laquan Treadwell, wasn't he?
So you got Perriman, Doxson, and Mims all real high and Perriman all in the top, first, second round picks? And none of them are really that talented?
Yeah, I'm going to have to find that out now because that's bad. Josh Doxson was the 22nd pick in the draft. And then Jamison Crowder, where was he at?
It's around 4.
Crowder was?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Still, the fact that a fourth-round receiver is their number one this year.
Yeah. I know Jamison Crowder is always that guy when, like, all your receivers are on your bye week and fantasy, and you're like, crap, I have to go with Jamison Crowder? Come on.
Yes. That's perfect.
Yeah. Not who you want as your number one receiver.
For sure. All right. Well, that closes out. So we can move into the GOAT segment. Again, in honor of the MJ documentary, we're going to talk about GOATs in the main sports and even some of the dumb sports.
Heck yeah. Love dumb sports.
Are we unanimous, though, on the NFL now? Because until probably 3 years ago, there was still who could it be that's the greatest of all time. And I think he's to me, he's cemented it, and I think it's Tom Brady.
Yes. I mean, it has to be at this point.
Yeah, 6-time Super Bowl champ, 4-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time NFL League MVP. Pretty much holds every playoff record there is. Passing yards, passing touchdowns, wins. He's number 1 or number 2 in passing yards and touchdowns. I mean, yeah, he's the greatest of all time. It's not even close.
Yeah, I personally don't believe it's close anymore either. And when we gauge these GOATs, are we gauging it based on how elite they were at the time they played, or if they went head-to-head today, who would win? Because to me, Joe Montana was the next guy that people think of for a GOAT in the NFL. And
Right.
If he was a quarterback in today's NFL, I think on Madden he would be like a 71 overall quarterback, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, like with – I didn't put in baseball GOAT, and we can talk about it in a second just because I don't watch a ton of baseball. People always put Babe Ruth, and I'm like, well, Babe Ruth would have got struck out 1 billion times today. Like, he would have been worse than striking out the
There was slow-pitch softball in it to him back in the day.
Yeah, they were playing a bunch of mailmen and milk deliverers. So I think it's a combination. Like, who has the greatest legacy, but also if you put them in today's sports, or at least contemporarily, maybe not a draft pick in 2020, but just the past 20 years, who would be the best, because it's hard with some of these guys. Like when you look at other sports to be like, oh, because obviously training and weight training and systems and all this stuff has gotten so much more sophisticated these days. But I think just with GOATs, like it's a lot of newer guys and ladies. I didn't put any on my list, but yeah, it's hard to put a guy who was that long ago because they played against a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, that's a fair analysis of that. So we're all unanimous on the NFL. Tom Brady.
What about coach for NFL?
Bill Belichick now, but Don Shula definitely has to be in the discussion somewhere. Mike Ditka was always solid, even though he was a Bears guy.
Mike Ditka ruined his whole legacy
draft
by trading for Ricky Williams.
Yeah, I know.
The worst thing. I mean, how do you trade your entire draft away for one pick? Like, what a moron.
Bill O'Brien would.
Oh, God. But, yeah, I'll check.
If we're talking about basketball, even though this is in honor of the Last Dance documentary, I want to hear who you guys said, because I have kind of a 1A, 1B, and I'll mention the 1B if you guys mention my 1A. So go ahead with your basketball GOAT.
I didn't know we were allowed to do A and B, but
if it's GOAT, there's going to be to me, to be a GOAT, you got to be so much better than everyone else. I mean, in any of my things, there's no close number 2. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put him as a GOAT.
We have different lists, sir.
Yeah, and that's fine. We can respect each other's opinions.
Yeah, but basketball, it's Michael Jordan. It's not even close. The dude is.
I think it's closer than NFL. I think it is.
It's actually farther apart, I think.
Oh, my God. I disagree. Respectfully.
Michael Jordan.
Respectfully, if you're going to keep this up.
Michael Jordan, 6 finals, with 6-0, 6-time MVP in those finals. He's perfect. Flawless. And you know what? He should have had more because he left to go play baseball. If he would have stayed, he would have had 2 more. He would have had 8 straight championships.
Yeah, but that's part of his legacy. But
that's where you get in this discussion that I asked earlier. If they played one-on-one basketball and they're both in their primes, I think LeBron James wins because he's a better all-around player.
They're different players, though. It's not one-on-one. They're different positions.
But that's why we're allowed to be different on these opinions, because if a difference of opinion on what a GOAT is how good you were at your time or how good you are if you went up against each other watching.
Jordan would destroy the NBA right now. One-on-one against LeBron, though, they play different positions. LeBron is, 4 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier? Of course he can take him inside. But Michael Jordan has something LeBron never had. He has the kill factor. The dude would not let his team lose. LeBron has lost over and over and over. The dude has left city to city to try and steal championships, and he still keeps losing. I think I have number 2 all time, but I think it's Michael Jordan, LeBron down here.
So and maybe it's shocking, but I've really thought about this around the NBA and just basketball in general. My number 2 and my 1B really, and I guess number 2 because it is Jordan who's the GOAT, but I think LeBron's 3 and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is number 2. I mean, if you look at every level of basketball and everything he's done, he was just amazing. He was on those UCLA teams that didn't lose a game for 2 seasons, 3 championships, 3 college MVPs, 3 tournament MVPs, 5 NBA championships, 5 NBA MVPs, 2 finals MVPs, leads the league in scoring all time. Maybe that'll be caught up by LeBron James. Maybe it won't. It's a huge number. But, I mean, if you really look at what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did, even though he played in the 70s and 80s and it was a little different, it's hard not to have him in a conversation when you talk about the best basketball player ever. He was just amazing. And he had better teams than probably both of these guys, with having Magic Johnson as your point guard for some of his later years, which kept him winning. But he was just amazing. And if you look at the stats he put up and the accolades he has, 20-time All-Star, 11-time first-team All-NBA, he was just amazing.
What about Wilt Chamberlain? All those 100-point games.
Yeah, he played against a bunch of losers, too.
A bunch of milk delivery men.
Yeah, a bunch of milkmen.
I mean, you got to also talk about Bill Russell. The dude has 10 rings. I mean,
11.
Yeah, see, another one of the greats, but I think all around you got to look at. I put LeBron at 2 because he can do it all. Same as Jordan. Jordan, multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year,
True.
was just complete killer at scoring the ball. He took over games. LeBron has that same thing, but he just doesn't have that desire, I feel, to be the man, to take over. He always looks to get his teammates involved, which is, a better overall teammate. But if we're looking at the GOAT, I think it's Jordan, LeBron 2, and I put even Kobe probably a 3.
That's another conversation. But,
Yeah, we got to keep this moving if we're going to get trivia in before you got to scram off. NHL.
Yeah. NHL, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky. That's who I got.
Yep.
Agreed.
It's no one else.
All right, Major League Baseball.
I didn't have anyone. I don't watch enough baseball.
Yeah. Everyone always says Babe Ruth, so I'll go Babe Ruth.
But we just heard his argument. Isaiah had a good argument, and he doesn't even watch baseball.
Yeah, but also against those milkmen, he was smoking, drinking, doing all this.
So were all of them. So were all of them. And they all had 42 STDs. Who cares? They were playing pitching grounds, dude, and they made it.
Who do you think's the best of all time?
Barry Bonds. Even without his steroids, even without those steroids, dude was still putting up crazy numbers. And he was hit for high average, had a great outfield arm, killed the ball for home runs, and that was even for steroids. The dude did not need steroids, and he had one of the best swings in baseball.
He should no doubt be a Hall of Famer.
They gotta ignore it. They gotta look at what he did before the steroids and stop putting that against him, because it's still Hall of Fame should show.
They won't though.
Yeah, I know they're stupid.
Yeah.
Writers have too much power.
Gets me all fired up, dude. Because I liked Albert Pujols for a little while because he could do a little bit of everything. Even Miguel Cabrera could do it, but I think he was a worse version of Pujols and Bonds. But they could all do the same thing: hit for average, hit for power, and have a great defensive arm. All right.
Soccer. I had
Pele.
Yeah, it's Pele.
I think if Messi gets a little more international success, I think he could usurp him by the time.
Neymar?
Pele.
Neymar he's good internationally. I could get Panthers user Zach, my brother-in-law, soccer nut, watches all the games, so he could list off every even minor league soccer team. I'm sure right now. I don't know, but I think we're all Pele. He carried Brazil for years. So NASCAR, Richard Petty.
Richard Petty.
Yep.
No Jeff Gordon.
No. Dale Earnhardt before Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, I would do Dale Earnhardt only because of what he did for the sport overall. And just to piss Brandon off, who's probably watching, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson, but dude won a lot.
Good stuff. MMA.
John Bones Jones.
And this one was actually tough for me because I did go with Bones Jones. But, man, Anderson Silva was up there for me. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, almost just pound for pound. Dominant.
If you're going –
my reason for those two is Silva. I think when you stay too long, it can negatively affect. He was getting his butt kicked.
Cain Velasquez was good for a while too. And
Bones Jones, while having legal trouble and drug issues, he's been untouchable in the ring. In the cage, and I mean he's beaten everyone, including the so-called pound-for-pound GOAT twice. So I'm going Bones Jones. Right. Silva had that too, but getting beat up as an old man.
What about Mighty Mouse though? Just he never lost for a while either.
His division was a joke though. I mean, they got rid of the division. That's how bad it was. The fact that they had a tough enough challenger come in and actually go the distance with him, I think showed that maybe he wasn't as good as he was, and that's why he's not even in the UFC anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he dominated like no other, but I really think that was just a lack of competition at that weight class.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to go with some early UFC legends, George St. Pierre, Daniel Cormier. But, yeah, I think John Bones Jones, if he can – he's got to stay out of trouble, but he's the best.
He's 0-2 against Bones Jones.
To me, he's the Barry Bonds, though. Even if he's not on drugs or doing something illegal, like, he still kills it.
Yeah.
Did you guys have anybody down for tennis?
I put Serena. That's where I put my women's in. I put Serena.
Oh, come on, man. Oh.
Dude, yes.
She dominated like no man.
Caveat of women's tennis.
Yeah, but she
Well-
dominated way more than any man's ever dominated.
Yeah, I mean Roger Federer maybe or Novak Djokovic, but other than that, gosh, man, I definitely Serena dominated more than those guys did. So if you compare both of them, she took down Sharapova, she took down her sister every time. So it's just
Right.
Yeah.
For women's tennis.
fair enough. Golf.
Jack Nicklaus.
Tiger Woods.
I got Tiger Woods.
Mm.
I think Woods passed after watching the match this weekend. He passed Jack Nicklaus.
Speaking of that, we haven't talked about that. That was entertaining.
I watched it, dude. It was great.
I watched the whole
I did
thing.
not watch.
I did.
The
I was
rain.
at the cottage. I was at the cottage and I watched it. I did not go outside and lay in the lake because I wanted
They
to
were
watch.
playing in like a monsoon. The smack talk was great. Charles Barkley was making fun of Tom Brady, and immediately Tom Brady turned into the GOAT.
I
And
know.
made one of the greatest shots I've ever seen on
Peyton
07.
Manning, Peyton Manning is 24/7 entertainment, dude. I love that guy.
Oh man, it was great. I can't. They really need the next time they need to have NBA and they need to do Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. Those two guys are the best trash talkers to ever play basketball, and they would be betting big money on every hole. I think, especially
All right,
with Jordan with
swimming.
a gambling problem.
Swimming on three. 1, 2, 3. Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
100%.
All right.
Yeah,
Track?
23 gold medals. Yeah, Michael Phelps.
Track?
Track or crack?
Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt.
Oh yeah.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second, I'd have Michael Johnson, but Usain Bolt way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. Boxing.
I hate
An athlete, but you kind of almost have to put Floyd Mayweather, even if you don't like him. Like, he's never lost.
Yeah.
He just never lost.
Yeah, I had Floyd Mayweather. He's undefeated. And the biggest thing, everyone hates him for this, but I think it's amazing. He's so good, no one can even hit the guy. I mean, boxing's not a sport about standing there getting punched in the face. You want to try and punch someone and not get punched back. And I've never seen anyone be able to not get hit better than him.
Yeah. A lot of people had Ali when I was like searching up some of the sports, dude, but I'd take Floyd Mayweather, I think. So, WWE.
John Cena.
I like Cena, but I put Ric Flair, man.
I
Yeah.
also put
It's
Ric
one of the
Flair.
two. It's
The
one of
dude
the
did it for like 30 years, so I'm gonna give him the props, man. And like,
Who else would you have? The Undertaker, The Rock, Johnson. I mean,
Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah.
I mean, if you really like, Stone Cold Steve Austin was the most popular wrestler during the most popular period of wrestling. So
That's
like,
true.
he maybe not won the championships or got enough writers to write him to win a championship.
he made the most money.
He did. Yeah.
He was the most popular during the biggest period of its history. So
I actually take away from The Rock a little bit because he left so early to become, one of the biggest actors in action
I
movies.
can't fault him.
Actually,
His movies are good. I love The Rock's movies.
yeah, but I don't know if that hurts him or does it actually help him because it maybe brings more eyes to watching their product. I don't know, but he left pretty early in his what it could have been a much longer career.
All right, a couple more skateboarding. Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, I feel.
Yeah, Tony Hawk.
I don't know much about skateboarding.
Right, snowboarding. Shaun White.
On White.
Oh, what?
Let's see if I have anything. I don't think I have anything else besides that.
Competitive
Right.
eating.
Oh yeah, Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut.
That's not.
Okay, the only one I had, which I got like on a Wikipedia rabbit hole the other day, chess. Magnus Carlsen is the
Anybody
best.
named Magnus is probably getting 4.0s at Harvard and winning chess. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude, he was in a championship and he won in like 5 moves. It was ridiculous.
Okay, last one. Out of all the goats we just mentioned, who would you consider the alpha goat out of everyone?
Wayne Gretzky.
Tough. I think Tom Brady though.
I would go Michael Jordan. See, we all went different.
Mhm.
My number 2 would actually be Tiger Woods because I thought he dominated more than most people. I mean, the way not only did he dominate his era, but he actually made golf cool. And
The reason I said Wayne Gretzky is because it's like with all those other ones, you hear arguments or have heard arguments. There is consensus across the NHL and the hockey world that Wayne Gretzky is the best ever. Like Gordie Howe is number 2, but there is no argument that Wayne Gretzky is the best. If you go to the NHL individual records list, he has like dozens when the next highest person has like 20.
Fair enough.
all right, we're getting to trivia.
Let's get the
We're getting to trivia. So I did the trivia this week. It is all about the Madden football franchise. 10 questions with one bonus question in case we have a tie. All about Madden. Pretty obscure stuff, but stuff that if you really put your mind to it, maybe not a couple of them, but you can get them right. So, but I tried to do pretty hard because I know Joel knows a lot about Madden. So RJ, I'm sorry if you don't know as much about Joel as Madden, but
RJ and I are on a level playing field in Madden.
okay, there we go. All right, let's start it off. What was the last Madden game that you could import your draft class from its corresponding NCAA football game? What year or number? Because the years are always like Madden 7 came out in 2006, whatever you want to say. What Madden? What title of Madden?
Are you typing, Joel?
Yes, I am doing it through Google Docs, though.
Okay. I was like,
I guess that does look bad. That does look bad. I should grab a piece of paper. I'm sorry. I was trying to think smarter, not harder, and it looks bad.
We both had 2014.
Right. You both had 202020.
Okay,
so
I can put it on paper. Because that does look shady. I don't.
Yeah, it does. I heard typing. I'm like, this is an easy question. Why would you try and cheat?
Yeah, otherwise known as Madden 25, but yes, NCAA 14, you could import your draft class to Madden.
So I was gonna change it to 25, and then RJ's like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm proving that I'm doing this." So yeah.
Yeah. All right, Joel, do you have your paper, or are you ready for question number 2?
I'll grab a paper here.
Okay, let me write down here so that you both have points.
Good call, RJ. I didn't even think twice about it. I was
Okay.
like, I'm going to be smart and not get paper.
All right. Which NFL player said that he was inspired by playing Madden when he would run sideline to sideline to drain time off the clock? This is a multiple choice one, so I'll give you 4 options. A, Jamal Charles. B, Brandon Stockley. C, Robert Griffin III. And D, Cam Newton.
So what do you mean, like the ran side to side the way?
You know when you're trying to run the clock out and you're like in the left?
I don't recall any of those guys ever doing that on purpose, but
I know. Neither do I. I thought it was gonna be like Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, I was thinking Deshaun Jackson was the first guy that came in my head.
So who are the guys again?
He said it in one interview.
So you said Jamal Charles, Brandon Stokely, and then you said RG3 and Cam Newton?
Yes.
So was that the right order? Was Charles A, Stokely?
Yes. Yeah. He said it in one interview, but he said he did it anytime he does that. So, and it wasn't recent, so I couldn't I didn't look up the footage.
That's funny. We were both thinking of Deshaun Jackson.
I know.
He's the only person I've ever seen do that.
He at least did it once.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to guess this guy then.
All right.
I can't see. Oh, he said Stokely. I said
It was
Jamal Charles.
Stokely. It was Brandon Stokely.
I just thought the other guys are too main. And then,
Yes.
Brandon Stokely was always like a number 3 wide receiver. And I'm like, all right.
Well, those guys are quarterbacks. I'm sure they didn't do it. So I thought it was either the running back or the receiver.
First thought Charles, but then I'm like, hold up. Stokely is just he's always been a 3 guy, and that just seems like a random name compared to the rest of these guys that are starters.
I know. I tried to think of better names to go along with Stokely, but I thought the only one I would have thought it was Cam Newton, just because I could see him doing some stupid crap like that.
Not fast enough.
Yeah. All right. Question number 3. Joel has 1 point. RJ has 2. Question number 3.
Wait, what?
Joel has two.
No.
What? Joel has 2 points. RJ has 1.
Yes.
There you go. There we go.
Number 3. There were 4 players with a 99 overall rating when Madden 20 was released. Name as many of the 4 as you can get, and whoever names the most gets the point. If you both name all 4, you both get the point.
For 20?
The most recent Madden, yes. 4 players in the 99 overall club when it was released, because I want to say a couple people have entered the 99 club since the release. They all got cool shoes. It was this big thing.
I have to write down 4 names. You're taking up all my paper. I heard Joel typing again. What are you doing?
I am
Oh,
writing.
that's me. That's me. That's me.
I was just hearing someone typing.
All right. You guys
Hang on.
want some more time?
More time.
All right.
I think of 4 names. It's hard.
What if I write down like 7 though?
No, you can only write 4. You have to cut it off at 4.
Crap. Okay.
Why am I having? Oh my god. What's his name?
Do you guys want a hint? I can
No.
give you a hint.
No hints.
Okay.
No.
Hold on. I'm trying to remember the last name.
All right, so I have 5 now. Doggone it. I cut out 2. Hang on. All right.
My hint is that they're all very good football players.
Oh man, that just gives it away. Thank you.
I didn't know if one of you guys were going to.
You don't say. All right, doggone it. All right, I'm gonna go with this.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
5 seconds, RJ.
I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name.
4,
How do you not remember good
3,
players in the NFL?
2, 1. All right, let's see the answers.
Joe, you're way too close to the camera.
Oh, duh. I gotta see what I'm doing. Okay.
Aaron Donald, Patrick Mahomes, DeAndre Hopkins, Khalil Mack. All right, Joel got the most. Patrick Mahomes was not a 99 overall on release. He is the cover athlete, but he was not a 99.
I thought he was 97, so that's why I was torn on that.
My hint was going to be that it's not a quarterback. It was DeAndre Hopkins, Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, and Bobby Wagner.
Oh, Wagner. I should have known that because I played the Seahawks.
Right, I had 2 of them. Joel, what'd you have? How many did Joel
I
have?
had Mack, Donald, and Hopkins. So I had 3.
Joel had 3, so he got the point.
I crossed out Von Miller and Antonio Brown. I was like, did Antonio Brown, was he in trouble when it was released yet? I don't think he was.
They seem to never, even though he wasn't in trouble with the law, like he was in trouble with his team, and they never seem to give those guys high ratings.
Yeah.
All right, question number 4. Joel is in the lead with a score of 3-1. Question number 4. In which Madden did they introduce the instant replay feature?
That's a tough one. Is that multiple choice?
That is no multiple choice. That is so far back, though. I'll give you that hint.
If I could give you multiple choice, they'd all be like within 1 4-year span. So,
Are we going to do who's closest to the year?
You gotta be dead on.
All right.
you got to be dead on. You're already up 3-1. You got to be dead on. It was not the first one. I'll give you that as a hint.
Right, I know. I have an idea of 1 of 2 that it is. So that's why I said go with the closest, and I think I can do it.
Too bad.
All right.
All right, I think it's probably the year before this, to be honest.
All right, let's see your answers. 98 for both of you. It was actually
97.
92.
92?
It was 92.
What?
I did not think they
Montana
had that.
football?
Yeah, John Madden football, 1992. That seemed very early to me too.
Yeah, because I remember watching the replay on Madden, because Madden 98 was the first Madden I owned, and then I bought Madden 96 and 97, but I have not played it yet, so I did not know.
Yeah. And I don't know, like some of these features, even the ones that are still around, sometimes they came in and then left and then came back. I don't know if that one did as well, but the first one was 92. All right. Still in the lead 3-1. Question 5. Which game was the first to gain the rights to use NFL team names and logos?
Which year?
First Madden, yeah. The name of because it's always a year ahead. The name of the Madden. Which year was it? Which Madden was it? That first gained the rights to use NFL team names and logos. I'll give you a hint. They did not have they didn't have player names yet. They still couldn't use player names in this Madden.
They used the numbers, right? Like wide receiver number 84.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the NCAA games used to do.
And they were, but it's funny because I think in those games they had those numbers listed as their names, but their numbers on the back were all like 88. Because I think 1997, all the numbers they all had number 88, regardless of position, but they had the name of the player actually. Gosh, how far back is this though?
I can give you a general, like a 7 range.
No.
Nope.
No hints.
Nope. All right, we're gonna
All right,
go with
you
it.
guys ready?
I'm good.
All right, let's see. 1990, 93. Ooh, RJ, you were close. It was 94.
Ah!
All right, going off our last question, as I alluded to, which Madden was the first that could use player names? So it's after 94.
All right.
Right?
96 and 97. It was 95 the very next year. Very next year, that contract included or got upgraded to use names as well. With the
I knew
NFL.
96 had it because I own 96, and I looked on the back, and I saw some had these names on them.
Yeah. All right. Question number 7. It is still 3-1 in Joel's favor. Question number 7. How many systems, so gaming systems or include PC, whatever you want, how many systems has the Madden franchise appeared on? And this is multiple choice. A, 33, B, 18, and C, 27. How many systems has the Madden franchise, so the whole franchise, appeared? I don't think this includes mobile phone, but that's only one franchise, so.
Okay, what were they again?
System. The multiple choice was A, 33, B, 18, and C, 27.
Seems like a lot. I didn't know there was that many systems.
Well, it's been around since the 80s, so I mean, you've been on at least like all the ones that get mainstream release. There's like handheld ones. There's PC. There's older.
Yeah, so but I wrote down a list of game systems I could think of, and I'm like, I don't think I even got to 8, to be honest. So,
all right, let's see the answers. 18 and 27. It's actually 33.
oh my goodness, name them all. We have time.
I saw a list, and they add up pretty quick. Like you get all your PlayStations, so there's a few. Like you get all your Xboxes, Nintendos. They're on handheld, so like Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, SP, Game Boy DS.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
Like
didn't think about that.
2DS, all those things. Then you have Atari, you have Coleco, and you have like all these things. Sega or Genesis. So they add up, I guess.
Oh, it's
Right,
nice to add for a trucking company, Coleco.
Or not? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
We just wanted to give the trucking company a shout out. It's all good. RJ works there.
I don't know.
All right. Question number 8. It's still 3-1. From 1997 to 2003, the EA developers had teams in Madden. Which of these? I'm going to name 4 names, and one of them is not a name that was an EA developer team name from 97 to 2003. All right. So we have A, the Redwood City EA Sports. B, South River Echo. C, the Maitland Tiburon. Or D, the Bear Island Bandits.
Which one was not?
Which one of those is not? 3 of them were EA developer team names that were in Madden.
Okay, I know 2 of them. You listed.
So
Yep, so
A, the Redwood City EA Sports. B, South River Echo. C, Maitland Tiburon. And D, Bear Island Bandits.
I got my guess.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, I totally made one of these up, so. RJ got it. It is the Bear Island Bandits.
I remember Echo because that was Mark Echo's team. And they had the Echoes, and I remember Tiburon because that was the
Sharks.
company.
There's the Tiburon Sharks that you could create as a team back in like 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Echo team had I remember had Snoop Dogg and a bunch of rappers on.
Yes. Redwood City is the EA Sports headquarters. Bear Island is a city next to Redwood City. That's how I picked it. But yes, I made up the Bandits. All right. RJ is closing the gap. It is 3-2. There's 2 questions left with 1 bonus question in case we should go to a tie. All right, number 9. In Madden 2004, no team had an overall rating above 90. highest, or there were two teams that shared an overall rating of 88, and that was the highest in the game in Madden 2004. What are the two teams? So Madden 2004, the highest overall rating for a whole team together was 88. Two teams had that rating. Who are they?
Okay.
2004?
Madden 2004. So it would have been the 2003 NFL season.
So I have to name one, right?
You have to at least name one, but if one of you gets both, they get the point over if you have one.
So it came out 2000.
Every Madden comes out, like the name
Hold
of
on.
Madden comes out the year prior. Like Madden 20 came out in 2019, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on.
All right. I'm ready.
Hang
Let's
on.
Let's go. Let's go. 5 seconds, Joel.
Yeah, okay. 89. So they were at 89?
88.
Yeah, okay.
They both had an overall rating of 88, and that was the highest in the game.
All right. I'm gonna dang it. No. Okay. I think I got this.
Yeah, whoever gets the most gets the point unless you both get two. All right. Joel said the Bucks and the Dolphins. RJ said Tampa Bay and Oakland. It was the Bucks and the Dolphins. So Joel got the point. It is 4-2. It is out of RJ's grasp. But we still got one question, and I'll ask the bonus question just because I think it's kind of interesting. But all right, question number 10. How many covers does John Madden appear on in the Madden franchise? He may not always be the main person on the cover, but his face is on this many covers of Madden. It is more than I thought.
Oh, so even if it's like in the bottom corner as a face of Madden?
If on the cover, the front cover, if John Madden's face is on it, it counts.
Okay.
I know it makes it trickier. Do you want? I can make this multiple choice if you'd like.
No.
I
All right.
don't think it's right, but
All right. RJ, show me your answers, guys.
oh wait, nope. There.
14 and 8. It is actually 17. So the bonus question, which was the first year that his face did not appear on the box art? It appeared on the previous 17 versions of Madden.
All right.
Two 2006 is correct.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, they had this little tiny like shield that said all Madden and then John Madden's face, and then it was signed by him.
Yeah, that's why it changed my mind. That's why I went higher in that other one, just because I'm like, oh, okay.
There's like, I think there's almost as many years of that than there are with him as the main guy.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, guys.
Well,
For
good.
trivia, Joel was the winner.
About time I ended RJ's huge streak here.
Yeah.
Everything, all good things must come to an end, right?
Yeah, hopefully next time we can get you your first win, maybe.
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, hasn't got one,
Heck.
right?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah, first win.
Yeah, so that was good stuff. What in the tarnation?
I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, changed it all up.
Did I? What in the tarnation? There we go. All right.
Oh, that's the website.
That is the website. All right. So, yeah, guys, check out the 6Three.com. We've got all of our episodes just chilling up in here. And also on YouTube now at the 6Three. So give a subscribe and like to our next show. And on Twitter and Instagram at the 6Three. And then you can check us out again probably next Tuesday if that works for you guys. Obviously, things got switched up a little bit this week, but we got our tight ends ready. So I think we're good to go.
We're good to go.
Good to go.
Good stuff, guys. Well, then I'm good to go. Let's see you next week.
All right. See ya.
See ya.